It's the Empowerment Perspective Podcast, hosted by Demiso Josie and Mr. Kareem Spence. Stay empowered. Stay empowered. Stay empowered. All right, welcome to yet another episode of the Empowerment Perspective Podcast. I go by the name of Demiso Josie alongside
Spence is here.
How we doing, sir?
Doing well on this nice Saturday afternoon.
Nice and windy Saturday afternoon. A little chilly out there.
It is.
A little bit.
But I don't think it's cold enough for December.
It went from 60 yesterday to 20 today.
Yes.
Crazy.
It is crazy. This is going to be a crazy winter.
It is. You
got to bundle up.
Bundle up?
Yes.
Bundle up. I hate the cold, by the way. I can't stand it.
You don't like the cold weather?
No, I can't operate in the cold. You know what I mean? I just want to stay in the bed all day, not get up. But
good. I mean, it's not a bad thing.
It is a bad thing because then the light man will come and turn the light out because I ain't go to work.
Having lights overrated.
Having lights
is overrated.
We can use candles.
Listen, they survived so long without having lights and gas and all that. We have too many luxuries.
So I'm gonna go turn the lights on in your house and see how you like that. The gas.
That's fine.
Too.
I'm never home anyway.
True.
It's fine.
This is true. You were coming from somewhere this morning. Where were you this morning?
Yeah, so we're actually collaborating with In My Care Mentoring. Mm-hmm. So what we have now is we're mentoring some young men. So we're getting it started, and I was actually facilitating today. So we have some wonderful mentors that are there as well. So it's sort of like I had to twist Yolanda's arm to collaborate with us.
Got you.
But she's on board with us, and it's going to be something great.
All right, that's dope. We're going to talk about what we got in store for 2019 in a minute.
Okay.
Adding some things. But I do have some take it personals. Actually, some good ones, though. These are not bad take it personals.
Okay, what you got?
So, we went to IHOP with my family. My daughter had a birthday party and brought a bunch of kids to IHOP the next morning, and they went to the Grinch pancakes. And me and my wife got the omelet, whatever. And, the lady the server came over, and we ordered the omelet. And then all of a sudden, kids' food was coming out. Me and my wife's food wasn't coming out. I was like, all right, well, maybe she just wanted to rush it. She was like, listen, I saw what that omelet looked like. I was not going to serve that to y'all. I said, I sent it back because I wouldn't eat it. I was like, all right, kudos. So shout out to the lady at IHOP for, making sure that her service was on point. I give her that.
I don't believe her.
You don't believe her?
I don't believe your food was ready at all.
I think it was.
She used that as an excuse. What can I tell these people that they actually believe? You know what? I'm going to tell them that the food looked absolutely horrible. I couldn't present it to you, so you have to wait 10 minutes.
So either her game was on point, because her service is like that throughout the whole entire experience, though.
Okay.
I had to ask for, I'm on this kick with tomato juice. I don't know why V8, but she didn't think they had V8. They didn't have the V8 that I wanted. She brought me back some.
Is different kinds of V8s?
Yeah, there's different kinds. They're spicy and all kind of different kinds. It's good.
Okay.
I don't know why. I'm getting old, I guess. I don't know why I'm on this V8.
You went and for some tomato juice?
So she ended up hooking that up and brought me some coffee, and I didn't ask for it. And they sung happy birthday to my daughter.
Okay.
She was just on point with her service. So shout out to her. And then, typically when you go to places like that, you don't get that kind of service. So I'm glad that particular server, I wish I knew her name.
We're going to call her the Jesus Shuttlesworth of IHOP, because she got game.
She got game, yes. Absolutely. So that's the one, take it personal. The other one, as you know, the Empowerment Perspective, we did our toy drive for the children of CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Yeah. And typically when we go, there's usually just a big bin or whatever, and you fill out the little form. Okay. But because my nephew has had cancer, and once you get into that community, you kind of support other families that kind of go through the same thing. So I was able to hook up. My brother was able to hook me up with somebody who his son just got diagnosed not too long ago, same type of cancer, leukemia, and the family was really struggling this time of the year or whatever. So I called him up. He met me downstairs, and we gave him 2 big trash bags full of kid toys for boys, and he broke down and was like, I didn't know how I was going to do this, this Christmas season with my family and stuff. So that really meant something to me and to the Empowerment Perspective group, that we really are doing some work out there for some people, and it was good to see that. So I just wanted to share that story.
No, that's awesome. But I also think that now we have set the bar. So anytime we do something for anybody, they don't cry, that means that we're not doing that job. We got to make them cry.
Absolutely. So 2019 is coming around the corner.
Yes.
You guys already know that we're doing the conferences in Atlanta. We're going to make it official. We're going to go to Vegas. I still got to work a deal out out with Keely, but we're going to definitely do that. We got offered to speak in Spokane, Washington at the same time, and I was trying to figure out how we could do both because they happen on the same day, but I'm not flying from New Jersey to Washington to Vegas. I ain't doing all that. So we're just going to go ahead and hit up Vegas and see what's out there, those educators out there. But we also are developing Empowerment Fest 2019, our conferences. And the more people that I talk to, the more demand it's becoming. So we definitely going to have one in New Jersey. And that conference basically is going to bring some heavy hitter speakers and workshops for you. I'm going to think about trying to have like a little job fair there too as well, so that, you know, we can empower people. And we're looking for young adults and adults. Parents, bring your kids, especially those kids that went to college and now are sitting on your couch because they don't know what to do with themselves. We definitely want to target that too, and put them on the right direction. So we're going to have a couple of speakers in there. Obviously, myself, Kareem, will be speaking. We're talking to a couple other people as well. Some financial speakers are coming in to teach them how to work their money for the future. Some other things that
and real estate and real estate. Yes, and real estate.
That was the leader.
Yes, and real estate.
I'm glad you.
Well, I will say this: parents, don't interrupt them while they listen to the podcast. Wait till the podcast is over, and then you tell them that this is where you need to be. Empower, respect, and first.
So we're gonna drop that more details to come for that in New Jersey. But we also got offers. We're working on Chicago. We're working on York, Pennsylvania. I just got hit up from somebody in Virginia. So we're gonna take this little thing on the road once we perfect it here in New Jersey. So some more things are gonna come out. So our friends out there in California, hit us up. You might be out there too.
Absolutely.
UK, we ain't forget about you either. So shout out to those people that listen to us overseas, which is great. But today's show, now, I'm going to say you petted your way back into this too. Because the young lady that we have today her show came on before our show.
Yes.
And I just distinctly remember a conversation the two of you were having, and then you got mad. It was like, you didn't hit me up, and you supposed to hit me up. We want you on the show. How did that work, sir?
Well, here's what happened. I was hoping to be able to do collaboration. Spend about 2 hours on the radio. Just talk about all about our stuff, including on her show. We're going to take over her show and take her fans, absolutely. But then she never called. I took that personal. I take it personal when I ask somebody to call me and then they don't call me. What I don't like is for people to call me when I didn't ask you to call me. That's what I don't like. I get a lot of those too.
So why did you not call him?
You know, timing, I really don't have an excuse on that one. I just always figured the next week and I'd see you and then we would do it, and we're so in and out. One show ended, the next one began.
3 seconds.
I know, was not enough time, and then we did it. We made it happen, so I'm going to say good things come to those that wait.
No.
And you're not taking over my clients. They're my family, my man. And I'm a little nervous that you said 2019, everybody needs to be able to cry until you know you had a good job. We're going to start that in 2019, not today, right? I'm not crying today.
Well, you might. I don't know.
All right, let's go. I'm on the ride. Let's do it.
We'll get Copper back in here and have you in the Copper until she cries. Don't let her go.
Don't let her go. So we welcome Jill to the show.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's talk about a little bit what you do and your radio show. Let the people know what you're about.
Thank you. And, happy holidays to everybody. Thank you for having me here. I am a full-time realtor with Exit Homestead Realty Professionals. I was in corporate America for over 10 years and just felt like my opportunities for expansion for myself and my family were limited. So looked at my husband one day and said, we need to come up with a plan B to be proactive. I had a small son at that time, and we put a really good business plan together. It took me about a year until I actually left the corporate America and took the risk for my family. And I give myself 1 year every year to make sure that I'm on track to continue doing what I'm doing, reassess what I do. Being an entrepreneur is very hard. But it's been the most rewarding thing, and I've been very successful ever since then. So
before we get into the real estate conversation, I want to talk about your transition from corporate America into entrepreneurship and what that means to be an entrepreneur in your sense. So walk us through that process of first having the decision and the desire. Why did you choose to go into the real estate angle?
So my history with the bank at that time was I worked on all the foreclosures and the bank-owned properties. It was a department called Special Assets. So when people were defaulting on their loans, they came to our department. And then I was assigned the property. If the bank took over the property, how were we going to resell it, and was it going to be cost effective? So at that point, I started to collaborate with a lot of realtors. I had to do some research and find out good realtors that were out there who I was going to select to represent the bank. And so that kind of got my interest piqued. I met a gentleman by the name of Philip Black, and he was the one that was very adamant about just saying, Jill, you got to get out of doing what you're doing. You would be much better in this world, in this profession. Right. So the transition just came to saving. My goal, my business plan was I saved a year of my salary. So I literally was spending no money for about a year.
Wait. I spent money on the way up here. How did you spend a whole year not spending money?
Okay, so I'm going to start when we first met. I told you I'm Excel driven, right? My whole world is in Excel files on my computer. And I sat down and I figured out what I had to cost, what was going to cost me to pay my mortgage, right? I have my own home. What's it going to cost for my son to be in soccer? All the little things that happen, all the bills. Worked with my husband, put together a budget, and I knew I was literally on $150 a week.
Of what?
Of my own spending money. That was it, which was basically gas and some portion of the groceries. And my husband took over everything for 1 year on his salary. And I saved my salary. $150 a week.
I spend that on coffee.
But if you had a bigger plan and you had a goal and you had your why, you guys talk about your why all the time.
What if you have a bigger car? How was that?
In that year, we ended up paying off the year before we started that. We had 2 car payments, which would have been my year to get a new car. We keep cars for 10 years, so we only have 1 car payment, and we're on a 5-year rotation, so we only have 1 car payment at a time. It was my time to get a new car, and I didn't. So we were saving like $450 a month there. So all those little things added up. The minute I had pretty much close to a salary, it was a little bit under, I kind of shaved it minus the taxes and stuff, I gave my resignation. And my boss at that time told me I was crazy. And he told me that I would never survive in the field. And this was my boss. And I looked at him and I told him, you have a daughter, don't you? And he said, yeah. And I said, would you want somebody saying that to your daughter? He then countered me with a sign-on bonus to try to stay. And I told him, no, thank you. And I never left. $10,000 he offered me. And you know what was the biggest insult in my life?
It wasn't $10,001?
No, it was $10,000 to stay on. Okay. And I looked at that as the biggest insult because for the last 2-3 years, I was asking for salary increases, different bonuses, T&E, travel reimbursement, and we had no budget. But then you had $10,000 in your pocket to give me to keep me then. It was at that moment that I knew I was doing the right thing.
Would you have stayed for 60?
I probably wouldn't have. I was so into it at that point.
100,000.
100,000 I might have. For a little bit. I don't know forever. I probably would have based out the terms on that 100,000. What was I signing up for? The deal with the devil.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So for this 10 grand, like if you would have worked another 30 days and then put your letter of resignation in, could you have kept the money?
I couldn't have. He was on to what I was doing. He knew I was, obviously now he knew what field I was going into, because I did share that with him, because I didn't want to burn a bridge, because that industry is, and I didn't know if this was going to work or not. Let's be real. I was taking a risk. So I needed something to fall back on, and I had 10 years of experience. So if I had to go back into the banking industry, I needed to have something. He wasn't going to be my referral, but I needed somebody.
Right.
So there was contingencies with it. I had to stay on for a certain amount of time. My job description was going to increase. I was going to have more responsibility. So it wasn't like, hey, Jill, here's just 10 grand to stay.
Right.
It continued that process of, this isn't where I belong. And at that point, from everything that I was through that last year of kind of, just doing the basic needs. We did no family trips. We didn't go down to the beach that year. I mean, we had friends over and stuff like that, but it was all stuff that we still do now, like potlucks. But it wasn't Jill picking up the tab, and we weren't going out to eat. We were packing lunches. We really trimmed that. I was already out of the business a year before I resigned mentally. Mm-hmm. So there was going to have to be a lot to keep me there.
Right. One of the things that your story kind of hits on for me is that there's so many people that have jobs that they can't stand, and they stay in it because they feel like they're trapped. They feel like, well, I got to pay the mortgage, I got to pay the car, I got to do all these things.
It's real.
It's real, but if you want to get out, I don't understand staying in a job that you don't like. I get it. You need to have an exit strategy. You got to plan for those things. You need to improve your skills and stuff. But I don't stay in jobs that I can't stand. I can't. Why would you live that life? And so many people are caught up in living, and I have to have this mortgage and stuff like that. But a lot of people are also living outside of their means as well, so they're really getting trapped. So now you become a slave to the car, you become a slave to this and all this other stuff, and they'll never ever get out. Meanwhile, they're miserable. So I commend you for the fact that you saw something that you wanted to do and you made that plan. I don't know if I could have did $150. I don't think I could have made it.
I think you could. You'd be surprised. Do I want to go back there? No. But you know what? It also made me a lot stronger to know that I could do it. So if something changed, we did it.
Right.
You know?
So let's talk about this concept of being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Because we're in the age of social media, and everyone will go in there, I'm an entrepreneur. I have this business, and they're not selling anything, and they're not making any money. That doesn't make you an entrepreneur if you're not selling anything. So that kind of just gets on my nerves a little bit. But talk about the day-to-day, and we had a previous conversation before here about the business side versus the creative side for us. What does that look like for you from a real estate perspective? Like, what's the difference? What's the business side look like versus the selling side?
Sure. So the business side, something that I tell a lot of people that I mentor with in training is in this business specifically, and it probably applies to a lot of other, professions out there. But, the day I started my business, I treated it as I needed to buy a building, manage the building, turn on the electric, and have some kind of grand opening. How were people going to know who I was? In Cumberland County, where I'm part of the Cumberland County Board of Realtors, we're close to 800 realtors. That's a lot of people. And now being in the business, I'll tell you there's about 25 of them that do it well, in my opinion. Okay? So how was I going to be one of those 25? So I really had to put on the business fence of how am I going to let the world know what I'm doing, and I'm going to take it serious, and I'm not just going to be another Facebook ad that's going to come across, and then I'm not going to just be a new postcard that comes into somebody's mailbox every once in a while saying, I'm the best, call me, do that. So I really had to put, just like I did leaving one job, put the business plan together and have that year's salary that I saved. That was my kickoff budget for my business. So I had to invest in myself. I had to believe in myself, and I had to start from nothing. I had to do a lot of training. Today, I still do a minimum of 7 hours of training every single week, and it's blocked. I'm a big blocker, scheduling time person.
That would have never guessed that.
But people are like, how do you do 7 hours? Well, it might be a 1 hour training here.
Right.
I do look at if I have weekly meetings with my team. So I have a 2 hour weekly meeting with them. And so that's 2 hours because I'm learning from them as much as they're learning from me because the realistic side of real estate is everything's always different. So we have to talk it out. The business perspective, I had to put my family as part of it as well because it is a group dynamic. So I had a lot less time that year one at home than I do maybe now because I had to be attending all the social events that were there. I had to brand myself.
Right.
So, the business perspective of it was very grueling. I don't think people take it as serious as they need to. I don't think people save the money that they need to invest in themselves as much as they need to in this profession. And I don't think that they stay on the top of education and realize how much learning you have to be. And you can't go get your license. Anybody can get their real estate license. If I could change one thing about my business or about this industry, the real estate license costs about $400. I wish it was like $3,000.
What, 3 G's?
Yes, absolutely.
Explain.
I feel that not everybody, majority of people think it's a get-rich-quick industry.
Okay.
And majority of people can save $400 at some point in their life. And then they get their license, and they have this license, and they represent themselves as a real estate agent. And all they've done is the state mandated test, where we all know, even in school, right? We've taken tests, but it's not the real world. It's kind of the same in this profession. So there's a lot of people out there that claim to be a realtor and don't really take the business serious. And I think if that was a $3,000 price tag, and I'm just using a number, that it would eliminate a lot of the nonsense and it would eliminate a lot of really bad transactions in this area.
But that's life, though. Any space.
It is.
I mean, that space is super duper crowded. So I'm looking at it from, being an entrepreneur. You're either going to, not too much stuff is created anymore. Like, you're reinventing stuff somebody already created. So you got to really figure out how you're going to separate yourself from the crowd. The education piece is one. The branding and marketing is a huge aspect of it. And I look at our Empowerment Perspective group in terms of how we brand it and how we go about doing it. And we do it so effortlessly because it's just organic. It's just who we are. And but you have to promote it, though. You have to promote it in the right areas. With today's social media, I mean, it's insane how I feel like more people should be taking the opportunity to be entrepreneurs and successful because of the availability of social media, and I can sell to somebody all the way on the other side of the world without even having to meet them. And so I don't understand why a lot of people are not pursuing that and their passions and their gifts. I mean, you can make videos. If my daughter can make videos of slime and sell slime at 12 years old, 10 years old, like, as an adult, what's your passion? What what are you passionate about? Figure out how to create a podcast or whatever it is, and then go out there and sell it. But just to get back to it, though, how do you navigate? How do you separate yourself other than education and how your branding? How are you separating yourself from such a crowded market in real estate? Right
now, I really found out in 2018, I actually hired a personal trainer to do a lot of self-reflection. This was my year of self-reflection. And I'm not perfect yet, just like me and you started out, Rocky, but there's ways of me not being the best communicator. I should have followed up more accurately, but I'm the first person to apologize for that. So I'm going to tell everybody. No, I'm telling everybody officially, I am sorry.
Listen, we're going to get a highlight tape and we're going to
run that. Does that not happen often? Do you not get apologies? Or do you just not have people that...
It's a long story, but...
Okay.
I think that I'm wrong so often that I'm more of the person that's doing the apology than actually receiving. So now this is the holiday that you're supposed to be receiving, and I accept your apology.
Well, thank you. Look at that love fest. We're there.
I'll be the bigger person.
We gotta rewind that.
Right? Scratch.
Mr. Petty is being the biggest person.
Listen, you're going to the top of our YouTube page.
I love it.
That is too funny.
I don't know. I think just separating with the guidance of my trainer, he's really taught me, like, right now, got to listen to the whole sentence so it doesn't come across vain, because there's a vision there. I have a mirror that's by my computer, and I started that this year because I do a lot of time at night. I'm working on my computer contracts, etc. And the behind that mirror, and I change it on a monthly basis. I put a different motivational quote on it that I have learned through other people, or maybe people have given me, because I do that for a lot of people. And when I'm kind of stuck or I'm frustrated, real life story of things just not going the way they should go, it's the time to just look to your right, look in the mirror, and remember who you are. Right. Things like that have kind of hit reset buttons for me, which I think's allowed me to be stronger this year in my business. Majority of my business comes from referral now too, which is a great open, and I mean, it's a door that I didn't think year one I'd ever have. I mean, my goals for year one was to have 5 closings, right? And this year I'm probably going to close about 6. Well, I closed 65, so 66. I have one more by the end of the year this year. So I do a lot of things right, but I still got a lot of things to improve.
You should apologize to me again. Make sure it's sincere. Because a lot of times people say stuff they don't really mean it.
I am so sorry.
I accept your apology.
Okay.
This is a beautiful moment here.
I'm going to run this into the ground.
My husband is so jealous now. He hasn't heard those words in a long time.
We'll get to that on the next segment. We'll come back to that.
He's like, she can say it. Those words do happen.
That is too funny. Yeah, I can go there. I'm not going there yet. And then my wife will definitely jump on the podcast. ain't gonna do that yet. But we had a conversation also about failure earlier, and we talked about why certain people don't do certain things because they're scared to fail. Let's talk about those failures because it's real in business. Like, what is that one lesson, that major lesson? I was like, all right, I thought it was right, it was going good, and then all of a sudden I got an egg on my face. It didn't work out, and how did you bounce back from that?
Absolutely. And that's part of it. That's part of being successful, knowing what you screwed up. There's no nicer way to say it. This past year, I opened up a kiosk at the Cumberland Mall in Cumberland County. It's in Millville, right on the line, Vineland, Millville. I had this outside the box thinking that I'm going to open up a kiosk for real estate. It was right around Easter, right near the Easter Bunny. A lot of people coming, right? Nobody's ever done it before. And I'm going to man this booth. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be available for anybody that wants to talk real estate. Until majority of the people that came up to me spoke Spanish, and I didn't know how to speak Spanish. And now I was frustrating people because they saw an opportunity to approach somebody to talk about real estate, and I was not prepared for that. So shame on me that I wasn't thinking more about the demographic, what was coming through. And it wasn't like I could snap my fingers and have a Spanish-speaking agent right there because I already committed with contracts to people that were going to man the booth when I couldn't be there, compensations and stuff. So it was 4 months that we would take referrals from people, and then you have somebody else call them, and it's just not granular. It's not sincere. It was like a sales pitch, and that's not me.
Right.
So that was a big fail, and I invested a lot of money into that. We still had success, but the failure was a lot larger because there was a whole market of people that needed help that I couldn't help them for, but I put myself out there saying I was going to do that I was there to help them.
That's crazy.
So I did learn from that, and this year now I have Priscilla Lugo. She joined my team, and she's a fluent Spanish-speaking agent, and I've been able now to help that whole, those groups of individuals that need first-time home buyers or renters.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, though, because it's only through, failure that we learn things to do things different.
Right.
So we have to be able to commit ourselves and say, oh, well, you know what, this didn't work. Having a kiosk in the Cumberland Mall, not knowing the demographics of the community of Cumberland.
I know.
But that's awesome, though, because now there's a new segment of the population that you have and that you're going to be able to get more referrals from because now they trust you.
Right. And I didn't know what was walking. I went to the mall an hour before it opened by accident one day. I had to get a gift card. I was sitting on the bench, and I was sitting there, and all the mall walkers. And that's when I had the idea, the epiphany of, like, this is something I can do. If I can help these people that are walking every morning. And all I was thinking about is people. I wasn't thinking about, race, color, language, but that was a fault of mine where I needed to think about that to make sure because Cumberland County is so diverse. But yeah, lesson learned.
But here's the other thing. I've had a lot of arguments in the mall. So you think about it, like, you know what? I don't even want to live with you no more. I want to go talk to Jill.
That is too funny.
Well, we're not there anymore because I pulled out because I wanted to hit the reset button and do it a different way. But, listen, we had a lot of fun.
Fun.
We had a lot of fun. It was great advertising. It was definitely something different, but it was a definite where people were like, rah, that's so. It was a fail in my eyes. For my business, it was a fail.
Right.
But you learn from it.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs, at least beginning entrepreneurs, go at it in the wrong perspective. Like, when I look at it, like, you create a product for somebody else. You're not really creating it for yourself.
Right.
I mean, you have to create it for the audience, and you have to know that audience and what they want. When we went to speak at Atlanta, actually it was Orlando the first time. We had an idea of what we wanted to say, and we went out there and did it, and we got the feedback. Had to fine tune it for when we went to Atlanta, and it wasn't what I would necessarily have presented, but because that's what the audience wanted. It's gotten to the point now when we go to speak, I have conversations with the audience before we actually go on. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about half the time until I have that conversation with them. It's like, okay, now we need to start going boom, boom, because that's what they need.
Sure.
So the entrepreneurs that are starting out know who your customer base is and know who your population is, and really focus on their needs, and can your product, it's going to change based upon those needs.
Change because the cycles that are coming, like now they're telling me that when I read the business news that the cycle is coming now that we're starting to change. And they're even saying with the stock market, they're saying that it's going to be really rocky for the next 7 years.
Yeah. You better have your plan ready financially because it's coming. It's coming.
If we like it or not. And, good, just to be prepared either way. But in my world, interest rates, they start going up again. It's all about monthly payments. Hey, it was about a monthly payment when I bought a house. So you remember, it's not about what I'm paying. It, what you're purchasing the house for. What is my monthly payment? Is my paycheck going to cover it, right? So mortgage rates have a big portion of that.
Yeah, let's go into that, especially for our listeners. Can you tell us the difference between fixed versus the one that continues to bloom? I think was the What's the other one? It's fixed versus.
So there's tons of, and I'm going to talk very high level on it because my forte is really not the lending. I know about them, but I don't want to misspeak to guide anybody. I can always give them a lender, a professional if you have somebody specifically. But there's all different kinds of loans for people. There's FHA loans, which are usually very typical. It's more of a basic loan going in. You have to put very little down, and it's a locked interest rate, meaning for the term of your loan, so like 30 years. There are conventional balloons. There's 203K loans, which is kind of like a fancy word for a construction loan. So if somebody's getting a rehab house and they want to roll in all the construction, they can. There's loans specifically for our veterans. There's ones that the interest rates stay a certain amount and then balloon, say in year 5 or year 10. So it really is very personal. Loans are a personal assignment. And that's why you want to have a professional that's in the lending world do that, because depending on what you have or you may not have in savings, or what you can take a loan from, or what you have liquid money to in your savings account that you want to put down, or maybe you want to keep it to buy furniture for this new house you buy. So that's really a conversation that can be so different for so many people depending on what they want.
I would also like to tell the audience that you need to do your own homework. I mean, the loans that she mentioned, you can look them up on the internet, find out what's right for you. Because I hate to say it, there's some shady people out there that do shady things. So their job is to sell you stuff, and they're going to try to get the most money that they can get out of you. So make sure that you are, doing your research. Don't just rely on, unless you know the person and you're really, really comfortable with them. But even then, I would still do the research if you're about to get a loan. So make sure.
I always tell everybody you need to do 3. So and even when they're hiring a realtor, I tell them when I'm having a listing appointment with somebody, I'm like, have you interviewed any other realtors? And if they say to me no, I have no problem saying, I'm going to recommend for you to call 2 other realtors and interview them as well. And then if you have any questions, give me the courtesy and ask me, and I'll answer them for you, or whatever it may be. But the same goes into lending. The same goes when you buy a car, you just don't go to the first car dealership, right? You might go and look for a couple different cars. We're all in a line of business. Personality is everything in my industry. You've got to find people that are going to get your situation, and work you through it. So power of 3, interview 3 people.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the market. I know that before it was good. It was a buyer's market, a seller's market, and I just can't keep up with it. I'm done buying houses. I'm done. I'm not buying no more. I'm going to an apartment after this. I'm done.
Oh no.
So you might talk to Kareem. You might want to buy a house. I ain't doing it. So where are we in terms of the market? Is it a buyer's market, seller's market? What does that even mean?
Okay, I'm so glad that you just said, what does that even mean? To me, as a realtor, being in the business, it's almost, by saying it's the buyer's market or seller's market, I feel that everybody needs more education on that, because it's really a seesaw. So I'm using my hands here and they can see it on here. But when it's a buyer's market, in theory, that means, right, prices are lower, right? Is that the concept that you're thinking? And when it's a seller's market, the list price are higher.
Right.
Okay. Well, behind the scenes, it's a seesaw is how my analogy is. If your list price are higher, your interest rates are lower. So now interest rates are rising, the purchase prices are going to come down. It's the same market, my friends. It's just the way. It's the same way you're looking at it. It's the same thing. Now, the only difference that will affect that is inventory. How much inventory is out there? So if we're low on inventory, so if typically, Salem County or whatever county it has 900 residential houses for sale, and now there's only 400. Now that's going to play a little part on you might be paying a little bit more because there's less inventory. So, but it really has nothing to do with a buyer's and seller's market in regards to interest rates and prices of houses. I strongly believe it's more about the inventory. So right now inventory is low.
Gotcha.
This is the busiest time of year. Another concept. Everybody is like, I would never sell my house in December. People aren't buying. I will tell you, this is the busiest time of year. People say, no, Jill, spring market's the busiest. Guess why? Because they're going under contract now, January, February, and then they're closing in the spring, people, but they're going under contract now. So, it's not... There's a lot of misconceptions,
right.
But I don't fault anybody because it's just education. That's kind of why I get on the radio every week and try to break some of those myths because somebody might be ready to sell their home and they're like, I'll just wait for the spring. Well, if you're listing your house in the spring, we're still going to sell it, but you're not having the biggest amount. And I think we're so busy in like February, everybody's got income tax money. Money's burning, ready to be spent.
That is true.
Deposit time. That's where I think we get really the busiest.
All right, let's talk about. I'm trying to buy a house, and you do these things called comps in the areas, right? So break that down. What does it mean, and how big of an influence is it when it comes time to buy a house at that particular point?
Sure. So when I do a listing appointment with somebody, they want to sell their house, or somebody's saying, how much is my property worth? Some of the terminology is called a CMA, which is a corporate market analysis, or comparable market analysis, excuse me, or there's a BPO, a broker's price opinion. It's the same thing. It just depends on the title of the agent that's working with you. So it's incredibly important. That's how I price my houses. That's how I run my business. So we need to know, and my banking experience has paid that, has given that huge insight to me because I know your house is only worth, number one, what somebody's willing to pay for it, right? And the comps, because what that means is if somebody's getting a loan, a bank is going to do an appraisal. An appraisal is nothing but comparable properties. So if you're getting a cash buyer, that's fine. We don't care because there's no appraisal, there's no lender. But majority of our deals are going to be with a lender. So I want to look at primarily how I do mine is bedrooms. Bathrooms is what I'm comparing. I'm trying to get apples to apples. Bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and within 3 miles of your home. If you are a straight sale, meaning you're not a foreclosure or a short sale, I'm going to eliminate them. And then I'm going to get the closest to you do you have an in-ground pool? Non-in-ground pool. And then I'm going to look and see 2 phases. What has sold in the last 6 months. So that's critical. That's kind of your apples to apples. And what is your competition? What's listed there? And that's how I price houses. Because you don't want to be the highest or the lowest unless if it's warranted.
Right.
And that is exactly what an appraiser is going to do when your buyer needs to get a loan. My sellers, I tell them the day you list your market, start putting your buyer's hat on. If you were a buyer, what would you want? Stop getting so emotional about your house because you want out. So you need to appeal to the buyer. All the fancy stuff that you've done with your hard sweat and hours of love and care, sometimes it doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter at all. No.
Right, see? So you've got to get into, when you're selling, you have to think like a buyer, and when you're a buyer, you need to think like a seller. Is the best advice I think I try to give all my clients.
You're not selling your house to yourself.
That's right.
You gotta sell it to somebody else.
People don't care that, your first baby was born here. I don't mean to seem heartless. We care when it's your own home. Other people don't care. They want to make their own memories there, right?
Why would your baby be born in the house?
Listen, there's people out there that do it in tubs and stuff. Right? That might not be a good selling point.
Wasn't nobody that died or
baby in this tub. I'm not getting in there.
Now they got to redo the bathroom.
Too funny. So what if we got a bunch of shady sellers like Kareem, right? Sold all these houses, and then you try to find a comp. Let me stop. That is too funny. But I just remember the whole experience. I hated. We had a townhouse before here, and I was selling it and went to the table twice, and it fell through twice because I guess the people on the other end didn't tell them the whole story on how much it was going to cost monthly. I mean, I'm talking about we moved everything out the house.
Yeah, it's
I'm
real.
ready to give the key. I'm getting ready to buy this house, and I can't buy this until I sell that. And sit at the table, take a day off from work, and they walk away. Happened twice. Do you see that a lot happening?
How you get that far? They walk away.
Well, you got.
There's so many things that can happen. Listen, do I see it a lot? No. Where we got some wood in here?
Wood.
I know we need something here. Luckily, it's never happened to me in my years. Have I seen it happen with other realtors? Yes. And it infuriates me because it could have all been avoided with communication. This is where I get on my soapbox of, technology and texting is all great, but sometimes when you just talk to the human being, you can squash so much. It may have been that other realtor's or your realtor's first deal. If you knew that, then you could have, if you had interviewed that realtor, and I'm not saying they are, so I'm not, dissing anybody that, worked in this transaction, just talking about generic scenarios. But, if you knew that was their first deal, then you may have said, are you being mentored through this? Do you have a coach? Are we going to make sure? You would have known the questions to ask to make sure. Right. They work for you. It's their responsibility to get you to closing. And listen, we don't want to give bad messages. I've had delayed closings. We've had to reschedule them, but you don't want it happening at the day of closing. Right. Especially, like you said, when you're taking off work. Yeah, and you've got moving trucks. Yep. And now and we call it the domino effect. Now you can't buy the next one. Now you've made that, it's not a good message. Right.
Terrible. Let's talk about, and I'm going to go back to my horrible experience. It was our first time me and my wife were looking for a house, and we told them, what we were looking for. And this particular realtor started taking us around neighborhoods that I wouldn't put my dog in. Right. Okay. And I'm like, you know how much money me and my wife make? Like, why are you showing me these houses? Like, walk us through the process of how you determine what houses to show your clients.
So it's two phases with me. So first of all, I'm sitting down and meeting with them, and I need them to just tell me their life story in regards to what do you want. I actually have a checklist of questions that I'm going to ask if they don't answer me. It is, yes, and it's color coded with teal highlights, right? He's shaking his head at me again. It is, and it's all the things about it's wants and its needs. They're two very different things. Absolutely. Okay? And location is obviously in there, price is in there, but also things are in there about, schools. Do they care about schools? Some people do, some people don't. Taxes. Why are they moving? That's usually a question that's the first one that I'm asking, because sometimes that tells you a lot more about location and things like that. So we get to know each other. They're telling me where they want to live typically. And it is, from a realtor's perspective, I need to be very conscious of not steering anybody in a particular neighborhood and going in or coming out. Okay. But that really should be triggered by the buyer of where you want to be. Now, if you don't know where you want to be, then I'm just going to do simple county searches to begin with, right? And put in the criteria that you've told me about, bedrooms, bathrooms, etc. Send you a list, and then we actually, with my team, we create a portal. It's like a website, and you can go in there and like which ones you want, and then I'm going to say, hey, go in your car and drive around those properties first. Let me know if you can see yourself living there. So then you do that due diligence. The last thing I ever want to do is bring a buyer to a house and their feedback is, I don't like the neighborhood. Because then that's wasted my time where I could have showed you other. And you're wasting the seller's time too, because they may have cleaned their house for their first time and opened it up for you or made arrangements to get their pets out. So I like to do it in a series of getting to know somebody, setting them up on a larger scale, maybe from a zip code or a county or maybe around their work. Some people say I don't want to live more than 10 miles from my work. So then I make that search be that. But that's where I start, and then just fine tune it. And then when we see a couple houses, I'm going to start to get to know what you want. And then we even fine tune it there until we find you a place.
How do you fire your realtor? You guys have us under contract.
Yes.
How can I fire you?
So when you're signing a listing agreement, there is terms of how long you're going to keep so you're selling your house or a buyer's agent? Buyer. Tell me which one. You could leave me tomorrow. There's no contract. There are some realtors that have buyer contracts. I work for you as a buyer's agent free until you buy a place, and then the seller pays my commission. So you really don't ever fire, because you're not hiring a buyer's agent. You're not paying for it. The seller always pays the buyer's agent commission. But if you're listing a home, you're signing a listing agreement for them to advertise your property, and you're agreeing on terms. The standard around here is 6 months. Okay, so if you hate the person after 1 month, shame on you, because you didn't get to know them well enough, right? You should have known, but then people change, right? They might have been nicey first day, but then maybe a month later you're not happy with their service. You would have to go to their broker owner and ask for a release out of your listing agreement, because you will have a signed commitment with them. So you would either have to ride it out, or you would have to go to the broker owner and tell the broker owner why you want out of that listing agreement, and try to agree to shorten the terms or be let go. Worst case scenario, you ride out the term.
So it's not like the NFL where it's all I can just say.
No, you can't just say bye.
At halftime.
No. And too, like, I don't sign shorter than 6 month listing agreements because I spend a lot of money when I list your house. I haven't made any money yet. Okay, I don't make any money until we close at the closing table. When you get your money, I get my money. So I want at least 6 months to market your property. And that's fair for me. And I'm honest with people. I'm not going to let you out unless if it was something horrific. I've let 2 clients out over the years that I've been in.
Did you say sorry to them?
Did I say sorry? No.
No. So you're the only person she said sorry to.
I don't think you really need to apologize to anybody else. I think you.
I'm good. Yeah, my life's complete. My life is complete now. Absolutely.
Anybody ask you for an apology now? Just pay.
No, yeah, it's minimal.
So before we move into some fun questions, what are the 1 or 2 things that you wish buyers in this case would need to know? Like, if you're finding across, like, I'm always answering this question, they really need to know this, and they're not really getting it.
I think buyers need to understand that they have the right to pick whatever realtor they want. And I think that they need to make sure that they interview multiple people. Just don't get the first person that says, hey, I sell real estate. I think that buyers need to be very open. They don't say as much as they should about their finances sometimes when they're talking to lenders. But I think they should get a professional referral if they commit to a realtor. Use that realtor. That realtor probably has a relationship that they've done a lot of deals with. So they kind of already vetted out realtors. I would say don't go through these quick look, I'm not going to say the actual company, but your commercials where you're, I just stumbled there, but you want a local lender. You don't want to be patched through to California if you're selling in New Jersey. Okay, you want somebody that you can call their cell phone and pick up. So it's all about having the right professionals and being honest, and it can really be that easy. Yeah, the honesty and just making sure you got the right professionals, and do that through a vetting process. You owe it to yourself. It's probably one of the biggest transactions, right? It's real.
Would you be interested in speaking at our conference?
In New Jersey?
Yes.
Oh my God, I would be honored. I would be honored.
We're global.
We'll start in New Jersey. I got to look at my calendar. Just like you. Well, I can't. I say yes, but I need dates. I need to make sure,
We're working on it.
I would be honored. Thank you for the invitation. Yes.
That's dope. All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit here and have a little bit of fun here. You want to start with your traditional question, or do we not want to go there? You want to go a different route today?
Wait, do I get a pass, or they all need to be answered?
You answer whatever. Whatever
this is going to be good. I'm ready.
We're vetting you right now.
Okay, I like it.
So we know that you have an Excel spreadsheet. We know that you have a budget. Okay. So we always like to vet people to determine whether or not they're petty or not.
Okay.
Now, in a situation of marriage, okay, and you have a budget, how much is too much for a ring?
How much is too much for a ring, and you have a budget? So what, you want like a monthly amount, like how people say, like 2 months salary or something like that?
What does Jill say? What did Jill say to her husband when he showed up? Like, he just left the supermarket, he got one of the rings and said, here you go. He said, no, that's not it.
Yeah, I don't know what my husband paid for my ring, but
you didn't have it appraised. You appraise everything in your life. You have it appraised?
I don't have it
He didn't
appraised.
get comps for the ring?
No.
He didn't look around.
I'm a husband.
No, I
had
didn't.
6 people within a 3-mile radius. How much did that cost?
I didn't buy it. I didn't have to do an analysis on it. This was him.
Great idea.
Come on.
To all the guys out there, you need to get 3 or 4 comps.
On your rings. I would say, you want me a dollar amount? I would say $4,000 or $5,000.
Interesting. Now, how much is Jill paying for his ring?
His second ring, because he lost the first one. He picked out his own ring, actually. And I think it was maybe $700.
No.
He picked it out.
That's not apples. We talked about apples.
He picked it out.
So you didn't ask him what you want to do with the change? Because you
No,
had
I
about
didn't.
$3,300.
No, I didn't. But then I bought him a second one from Walmart when he lost the first one.
Walmart sell jewelry?
Oh, they sure do. Yes, they do. They have a jewelry counter in Walmart.
How did you know that?
Because I'm in Walmart all the time. Isn't everybody in Walmart all the
Not
time?
the jewelry.
There's a huge
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Well, there is a jewelry section in Walmart.
Huh.
Of course.
Is that a punishment?
Yes, he lost his first ring. And he needed to wear something, and I was there. So I picked him up another one, and he did find his first ring. So now he's got two. So we can add that maybe $99 on top of that.
That was a test. He knew where that ring was all the time. We just wanted to see how much he was going to pay for it.
$99
You know, at Walmart, yeah.
Did you get don't they sell
Like the 3-year warranty? I don't know if I did.
in case he loses
I
again.
don't remember. I
It is
don't
under
remember.
warranty.
You know, I never really even thought about it, to be honest
That's
with you,
funny.
comparing ring prices. I didn't.
I think
Now,
about
my
things like
wedding band that we got for my actual wedding day, we split that. I don't remember what we spent, but we did split it. I wanted to contribute towards that because I felt it was like the bond thing.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you went half on it.
Yes.
Was it half?
Yeah, it was half.
80-20?
No, 50-50. All my bills, everything is 50-50.
Everything.
Pretty much.
It's impressive.
Pretty much. You know, they always say marriage, some of the biggest reasons people get divorced is finances. That is one thing my husband and I have never fought about is money. I mean, he treats me for dinner. He spoils me all the time. And I do the same. He does. No, I'm saying bills and stuff. Bills and things like that. Stuff that could cause stress in a marriage. We're 50. We're a partnership.
Let's talk pre-marriage.
Okay.
You're dating, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You go out to eat.
That.
You go out to eat, and the waitress comes down and puts the bill in front of him. Were you the type that went into your purse or had to magically excuse yourself to go to the bathroom so that you didn't?
Also, not bladder hurts.
Yeah, right.
Bladder hurt. I'll be right
Let me
back.
go take this call.
Yeah.
No, I was not that person. I'm always very fair. I would always offer, but also being conscious not to disrespect him either. As the man at the table of a little bit of a cold, so I'd be like, do you want to split? First date, I probably didn't, to be honest with you. I can't even remember. We've been married 14 years now. But
Did you reach?
First date, I probably said something like, do you want to split it? I may have, and I think he would tell you the same too. Now we just kind of sometimes he'll be like, babe, you want to go to dinner? Yeah, let's go to dinner. And I'll still say, do you want to split it? And he'll be like, no, hon, I got it. And sometimes I'll be like, I want to take care of it. We're not keeping tally marks.
How much is too much for you to take care of?
How much is too much for me to take care of?
$300.
Of what, a bill?
Yes. Nice night, fancy restaurant.
There is no too much. There'd be no too much for my husband.
1,000.
I don't think we've ever gone to dinner for $1,000.
Well, take me out.
Yeah. What are you drinking? What are you drinking? And we're some drinkers, and we like fine dining.
Call your husband and say, listen, we're going to take Kareem on.
Yeah,
He's
no,
going
I
to
don't
teach
think
us
we've
how to
never
spend
had
$1,000 a dinner.
We've never had a dinner between the two. I mean, we've maybe spent like $300 or $400 on dinner, and I've picked up that tab, and so has he.
Call your husband and say, listen, I'm closing. I want to see how much Kareem can actually spend on this last closing of this house. We'll spend every penny of it.
Oh, I could spend it if I wanted to, but we're not, we really don't run that way.
It's good.
Yeah. And it works for us. Some people think it's crazy. Some people, but
I think
hey,
it's
different
logical.
strokes for different folks. We don't fight about money.
I think it's logical for you to pick up 365 days a year. All right, let's call it 18 and a half.
18 and a half.
You guys go out? No, 180. You should pick up 180 tabs, and you guys go out every day. 180 should be yours.
100.
52 weeks a year?
Yeah.
25 checks should be yours.
I don't eat out that much. I'm old school Italian. I'm cooking.
It's because you don't want to pick up the tab?
No. It's because I want my boys to be able to come home and have family time around the table when I can.
Okay.
I don't know what your husband does, but when you guys go buy a car, because you are the buyer seller, is he stepping in the back and letting you handle
he won't
all that?
even. He is fine with me, and he just steps back because he knows I'm in my zone. Yeah. His father used to be a car dealer. He took us out when we first got married. He was with us the first time we bought our first car. And he pretty much said, you two say nothing. You're going to watch me. And he taught us a whole bunch of life lessons, and we walked out of that car dealership, and I literally almost cried because I felt bad for that car dealer. Just pretty much today was not his day to make any money, but we still got our car.
Your car though.
Now, I have the most respect for people with commission, so I'm not looking to embarrass or discredit or not for them to make money, but I'm in my zone and I'm getting the good deals. And I mean, me and my husband pick the car together, but then when it comes to the negotiating on that's my forte.
Okay, all our listeners, when you need to buy a house and or a car, call Jill and pay her commission and she'll take care of it.
That's right. I mean, you still got to pay commission. This is their livelihood, right? I'm not trying to take that away, but I also am not going to pay out of the line, but I'm going to do my research.
That's true. Well, how can people get in contact with you and talk about your radio show when they can listen and all that stuff too?
Thank you. So I am on SNJ today every Saturday from 11 to 12. And next week, I am actually the last weekend in December. I am going to be having my son. It's actually his 12th birthday and 7 of his closest friends. And we're going to do real estate news from 12-year-olds. So that ought to be interesting. And, every week is just another person that's in my industry that I think buyers need to know about. So they're in that process, and I'm reachable by my cell phone. 85. Are you writing this down? Did you put me in your contacts? Okay. 856-362-0967, and my email address is timetoplan@hotmail.com.
Hotmail?
I know, I'm old, right?
I thought you was going to say AOL. That was a rapid.
I know, my husband has AOL. It's mortifying, but now Hotmail is kind of. I also have Team Jill at Exit Home Pros, but Time to Plan. Back in my day when I used to help all my friends do their weddings, that's when No, I just, my Excel spreadsheets would really help them keep track of stuff.
Listen, anybody that's out there that works for AOL, we'll bring you back to life. We'll do a partnership with you.
I know.
We'll make you relevant again.
No, it shows our age, right? When we start saying AOL and Hotmail.
Funny, but thank you so much for being on the show and the knowledge that you have. I wish we had some more time to break down some more things, but hopefully at the conference, if we get you there, you'll be dropping some more knowledge on people that need to know stuff about buying homes and selling homes. It's really important stuff.
I have one other question.
Yes.
Are you just exclusive to Cumberland, or you can do entire?
No, I can do the entire state, and I do the entire state, which is great. And then even if somebody's moving from New Jersey going to another state, you could still give me a call because I will vet those professionals for them. And I can refer them to somebody good. We get a lot of people moving to Florida, and I've kind of made a network there, and I do a lot of traveling throughout the year just for that reason, to start knowing who's the best in the business in different states.
Okay, so anyone that's out there is looking for a really good real estate broker or agent?
Broker.
Okay, make sure you call Jill.
Thank you.
That's what happens when you apologize to me.
See, you softened all up and all smiley.
That's like the first shout out.
I don't even need Christmas. Christmas canceled.
Christmas.
Gentlemen, you were great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Mr. Spence, Mr. Petty, any last words before we wrap this thing up?
I'm big on Jill right now, so call Jill. Wedding planning, car buying, anything you're going to be buying, call Jill for all you need. You're going to go buy a turkey later on for Christmas, call Jill.
Very interesting. I'm going to go with 2 things. If you're an entrepreneur getting ready to get started out there, remember that you are making something for somebody else, and really understand who your audience is and your consumer base, and really knowing what their needs are and trying to meet those needs. The other side of things, if you are in the market of buying or selling a home, make sure you do your research. There's so much information that's out there, and there's so many misconceptions. So you heard some of them on here today. Make sure you do your research, because I don't want you to get I don't want you to miss out the opportunity that you could have. Make sure you understand that. 2019 is right around the corner. This will be our last podcast in 2018, so we're going to wrap this year. It was an interesting year for us. Did a lot of things in 2018. I think 2019 is going to be off the chain. I can't wait for it. So make sure you get yourself together, plan for 2019. Actually, if you haven't already got your plan set, you're already behind the 8 ball right now. So make sure that you, in New Year's resolutions, I ain't a big fan of that thing. Let's just think about past 3, 4, 5 months from now. What does that look like? And start working on those goals. If you're stuck in a job that you can't stand, start working on your plan to get out of it. You don't need to be miserable. miserable. Start living within your means. Some of you don't need the big houses. Some of you got houses in the rooms that you don't even use. So why you got the big house and you ain't using those rooms? Kareem,
it looks nice. It looks nice. You walk by.
Dust.
You walk by.
Yeah,
right. Wow, you get somebody coming clean, but you look at it and say, you know what? I really should have used this room for something, and then you go into the rooms that you actually use.
That is too funny. But prepare yourself for 2019 and the empowerment perspective. I'd like to say Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody.
Have a safe holiday.
Have safe holidays, and we'll see you next year. Stay empowered.